We last met Zechariah a few weeks ago in our time, and a little more than 9 months ago in terms of the story. At the time, he was ministering in the temple, and he was taking the incense in when he encountered Gabriel, the angel of the Lord, who told him, "You and your wife are going to have a son, and he's going to go ahead of the Lord to prepare a way. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. People are going to remember you, and they're going to remember your son, and it's going to change the world." And Zechariah said, "But my wife and I are old. And that doesn't happen to old people. I mean, we're solidly in our late 30s. This is ancient Judea. Healthcare is not great." And Gabriel, the angel of the Lord, did not say, "Have you read this book? Have you heard the stories? I mean, you know about Abraham and Sarah, right? You know about Hannah, right? This is a thing that happens in here. It's a sign of God's favor. It's one of those miracles that you're wanting all the time, that you keep asking for, that you keep saying, if only it would happen to us, and now it's happening to you. So get on board." Instead, Gabriel, the angel of the Lord, said, "Because you didn't believe me, you are going to be mute, unable to speak until you see these things come to pass." Now it's later, and these things are coming to pass. Zechariah's son is born. They're debating over the name. There are questions about what to name him, and Zechariah remembers that he was told to name him John, and so he writes on a slate, "Name him John." And he shows it, and they name him John. And his mouth is opened. And Zechariah begins to prophesy, begins to talk about all of the things that God is doing. God is being merciful and compassionate. God is saving God's people. In this moment, he knows that the miracle that was promised is happening. That he is part of this story that has been going on for so long. That the angel of the Lord had no reason to lie about any of this. He sees what is possible. A little bit of it, and it changes him. And it sets up the story that we are so passionate about. It sets up this story about God coming into the world as one of us. Our movie today is How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And we all know this story. The Grinch did not like Christmas at all. In the book, weirdly, it's mostly about the noise. I mean, it says that we're not sure why he didn't like it, but a lot of it is about the noise that all of those kids, all of those Who's down in Whoville make on Christmas morning. And so he decides to steal Christmas. He decides to dress up as Santa and dress his dog up as a reindeer and go from house to house and take all of the things that he thinks make Christmas Christmas. He steals the Christmas trees and the ornaments and the garlands that are on it. He steals the presents and the gifts the toys and the drums, all of those things that make noise. He steals the feast. He steals the roast beast and the hoo-hash. And when there's so much as a crumb that is too small even for a mouse, he takes that too. And he loads up his sleigh with all of the things that he thinks make up Christmas, and he heads back to his cave on a mountain. But on his way, he hears something. He hears something in the distance, a noise that he wasn't expecting to hear. He had stolen Christmas, but he hears the Who's singing in celebration of the day. And in that moment, he realizes that maybe Christmas doesn't come from a store. He realizes that Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. And when he realizes the true meaning of Christmas, and Dr. Seuss does not tell us what the true meaning of Christmas is, but when he realizes the true meaning of Christmas, his heart grows 3 sizes. And of course, in response to that, he begins to make his reparations. He takes everything that he had stolen back to Whoville. He replaces the trees and the ornaments and the garlands. He gives back the toys and the drums and everything that makes noise. He opens the cans of hoo-hash, and he carves the roast beast, and he joins in the Who's Christmas celebration. It is a remarkable moment. The Grinch, hearing the love that the Who's have on this day, is inspired. His heart grows. He becomes more able to love, and being more able to love, he realizes what he must do. He realizes that he has to go back to the Who's and make up for what he has done and join in the celebration and love just as they are loving. And I'm going to tell you a thing about Christmas, which is really to say a thing about all the time. There are times when we are the Who's, when we are the ones who love and celebrate, and by doing that, inspire others. Other folks can look at us and say, there is love. I want a piece of that. How do I get it? And there are times when we are the Grinch, when we are short on love, when our heart is too small, when we need to be inspired to love, to make reparations, to join in the changing of the world. Now, like I said, Dr. Seuss does not tell us what the meaning of Christmas is, only that it doesn't come from a store. But we are Christians, and this is a church, so we know what the meaning of Christmas is. It is the celebration of the day. The celebration of the day when the God who is love came into the world as one of us, to live a life that we could not live, to love a love that we could not love, to know our joys and our sorrows, our celebrations and our frustrations, to go through everything that we go through. And in so doing, to redeem and restore and repair all of creation. To fill the cracks in this broken world in with love, so that it might be the world that God has been calling it to be since the beginning. Christmas is the day when we celebrate, more than any other day perhaps, God's astonishing love for creation. God's astonishing willingness to lay aside glory and come in to creation. God's willingness to make reparations that we are not owed, to fix things, to make the world anew. It is an amazing thing, this love. It is a revolutionary thing, this love. It is a redeeming thing, this love. It is a thing that can change the world. And it can change it even if all we have is a little bit, a little piece. Even if we are just little Cindy Lou Who. Even if we are just someone in an occupied land among a marginalized people, looking at a child and choosing a name. Even if we feel like nobody in particular we can love, we can add a little bit of love to the world. And if we do that, well, then somebody else might see and say, I want a piece of that. I want a chance to do that. And they might add their little piece of love to the world. And somebody else might see that. And somebody else might see that, and somebody else might see that, and the chain continues until love starts getting everywhere. And in those moments where we feel like we don't have any love, when we feel a little grinchy, we can look and see what has been promised since the beginning. What the angels of the Lord, what God themselves has said. We can see love. We can be inspired. We can feel our hearts grow. And we can then share what we have received. This is the call, not just to Christians, but to everyone and to everything. This is what God keeps asking us to do, for God is love. And if we love, which we do, and if we are loved, which we are, and if we wrap ourselves up in love like a burrito, then we can abide in the God who is love, and God who is love can abide with us, and by so doing, we can bring all of creation into God's reign of love until it is filled with love. And all of the things, all of the crud, all of the powers of sin and death and everything that makes life less fade away. And all that is left is love. And a feast. And a celebration. And a song and glory. For God is doing amazing things. And for that love that God brings to the world, for that love that God fills us with, for that love that we can share, for that we can be grateful. Thanks be to God.